Good evening, Mr. Arun. Are you going to call Jarvis or are you going to do it on your own?
So let it be Jarvis, sir.
All right, sir.
Yes.
Carry on.
Anyways, good evening, sir. Suganya ma'am, good evening, and Sarada ma'am, good evening.
Good evening, Arun sir.
Yes.
Good evening.
So to begin, we have to welcome our respected moderator. For that, let me invite our one and only Jarvis.
Good evening to all the exuberant educators. I welcome you all to the 157th web training series of CBSE Bharat Sahodaya. Now I take it as pleasure to introduce today's moderator, Ms. Saritha Warrior. She has completed her post-graduation in economics from the prestigious Fergusson College, Pune. She has done her B.Ed in English and Economics. Presently working as high school teacher at Nalanda Public School, Mumbai for the past 15 years, where she teaches English, economics and financial markets management. She is an avid reader, an amateur poet and scriptwriter who trains students for inter-school competitions. She strongly believes that education is not merely a profession, but a true vocation that entails continuous hard work towards achieving excellence in one's students. She has rendered her services to CBSE Bharat Sahodaya as moderator in a number of sessions. She is associated with BTAG as the chief editor of the Transformers E magazine. So I cordially invite you to take over this grand session. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Arun Mohan.
Sarada ma'am.
Thank you, Mr. Arun Mohan. And
Our
thank you to
moderator.
Jarvis.
She is also the backbone of our BTAG.
Thank you. Thank you. And Mr. Jarvis is doing great day by day. Thank you so much. So good evening, one and all. I hope I'm audible.
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Yes.
Sure.
Yes. Let's begin. Let's begin for the day. Good evening to one and all present here. Welcome to the 157th web training session that is being conducted today by BTAG in collaboration with CBSE Bharat Sahodaya Complex. This session is yet another part of the All About English series of the web training sessions that we have been conducting over the past 3 years. And today we will be dealing with lesson planning and implementation in English for grades 9 to 12. With the NEP 2020 being implemented in our education system, I'm sure you will all agree with me when I say that this is one of the most awaited sessions and the need of the hour. Lesson planning is the most basic foundation of the entire education process, and a well-designed lesson plan helps both the teacher and the students understand the goals of an instructional module. It allows the teacher to translate the curriculum into learning activities and aligns instructional material with assessment. A lesson plan provides you with a general outline of your teaching goals, learning objectives, and the means to accomplish them. A productive session is not one in which everything goes exactly as planned, but one in which both the students and the instructor learn from each other. Effective lesson planning can also contribute to the teacher's own success and well-being. It can make the act of teaching more pleasurable by increasing the teacher's confidence in themselves. Keeping these points in mind today, BTAG, in collaboration with CBSE Bharat Sahodaya, are here before you all with a supremely talented and knowledgeable resource person, Ms. Sukanya Bhatia, who will throw more light on this topic and guide all of us in effectively planning and implementing good lesson plans in English for grades 9 to 12. As we move on to the next segment of our session today, our participants are requested to pay attention to the following set of instructions for the smooth conduct of the program. Kindly be visible and keep your mics on mute. I request all our educators to participate in the activities as requested by a resource person from time to time. Your participation and responses mean a lot to us. If you have any queries, you're requested to please post them on the chat box. Ms. Sukanya will be addressing those. We also have a dedicated question answer session at the end in case you wish more clarification. Kindly note that the certificate and feedback link will be shared towards the end of the session. And a humble request to all of you to stay connected till the end. Thank you. Dear all, leadership is not about a title or a designation. It is about impact, influence, and inspiration. Our program director, Dr. Abdul Salam, embodies everything that has to do with impact, influence, and inspiration. Dr. Salam is presently working as NABET, National Accreditation Board for Education and Training, Government of India Assessor. He is the former principal of the Oxford School, Trivandrum. He is the founder and CEO of BTAG, that is Bharat Transformers Academic Group, a consortium of teachers across the country and abroad, all working together for achieving educational success in our country. He is a CBSE resource person and master trainer, and the CBSE Deputy Training Coordinator, Trivandrum Region. Dr. Salam is also the director of N-Creator Software and Media Private Limited and the patron of Bharat Sahodaya. He is a true visionary and a role model for so many of us. I extend a very warm welcome to you, sir, and request you to deliver the welcome address. Over to you, sir.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Once again, well, a very good introduction has been given to you. Very happy to see Suganya ma'am back on the second session with lesson plan and implementation for English grade 9 to 12. And of course, Sarita ma'am, who has been with us for many a time, and Arun Mohan sir. And also we are happy to have Miss Beena Jacob, the Joint Secretary of CBSE Bharat Sahodaya with us today. Well, one thing, lesson planning, everybody knows we already have, had a session about the essentials of lesson planning. And here we are going to see how lesson planning is implemented. This plan is implemented with, emphasis on NEP requirements. So I take this opportunity to wish the very best to Sukanya ma'am, and let us lend our ears to her and enrich ourselves. Thank you, everybody. Hearty welcome once again. Forward to Sarita. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I now consider it a privilege to welcome Ms. Beena Jacob, the Joint Secretary of CBSE Bharat Sahodaya and the Principal of MGM School, Kilimanur, Trivandrum. Over to you, Beena ma'am.
Thank you, Ms. Sarita Warrior. It's nice to meet you after a break.
Same here, ma'am. Same here.
Yeah. Good evening to Dr. Abdul Salam, sir, the director and founder of BTAG, the patron of Bharat Sahodaya, Ms. Suganya Bhatia, the resource person of this evening, principals, teachers, and all the well-wishers. Greetings from Bharat Sahodaya. It is fabulous to see you all together this evening after a grand school reopening, and we hope that all your schools are running in full swing. As we say, well begun is half done. Let's give a good beginning for our new academic year. Of course, doing the right thing at the right time is the secret behind the success of all the sessions conducted by Bharat Sahodaya. So to give a good beginning and to ensure the effectiveness of the teaching learning process, so BTAG in collaboration with Bharat Sahodaya has come with yet another session on the most discussed topic among those who are handling English. So how to prepare your plan and also how to implement it as per the recommendations of BTAG. Of course, we are blessed with a wonderful resource person, Ms. Suganya Bhatia. So we are all excited to hear you, ma'am. We are all eagerly waiting to know, how to implement the recommendations of NEP. So while preparing the year plan, so let us all hear from Madam Bhatia so that we can make our teaching, more impressive and more effective. Also learning fun and enjoyable. So we are very happy, ma'am. Thank you for joining us. Thank you all for joining us this evening. I hope Madam Bhatia would enlighten us with your words of wisdom. Thank you and have a nice evening.
Thank you very much, Veena ma'am. Ladies and gentlemen, let us now put our hands together and welcome our resource person for the evening, Ms. Sukanya Bhatia. Sukanya ma'am is the activity coordinator at Jesus Sacred Heart School, Ludhiana, Punjab. She has been working in the field of education for the last 22 years. She has graduated with English honors and holds a bachelor's degree in education. She has also done her MPhil in English with a distinction, and her research work on mythical patterns in the plays of Girish Karnad has gained her great appreciation. Presently, she is appointed as PGT English in her school. She has a vast experience in conducting in-house and external webinars. On behalf of all of us at BTAG and Bharat Sahodaya and our participants for today, I welcome you, Sukanya ma'am, to this session. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Sarita ma'am, for this illustrious introduction. Thank you, Veena Jacob ma'am. And I would like to express my sincere gratitude to Dr. Abdul and BTAC team for giving me this great opportunity to be a resource person for this webinar. I extend my sincere gratitude to all the participants and all the educators present today. It is indeed a great pleasure, to impart the valuable informations and also to learn from you all through the various inputs you all will be pouring in this session. So it's a humble request to all of you to kindly keep a notebook and a pen ready with you so that you will be creating a lesson plan for yourself simultaneously when the session is going on. So opportunity to share your lesson plan later after the presentation gets over. So it's my humble request to all the educators to keep a notebook and pen ready so that you can also plan a lesson side by side and to learn and to execute. Thank you so much. Ma'am, my screen is visible.
Yes, ma'am, it is.
Thank you. So today, let us begin with the presentation. So the session for today is English lesson plan and the implementations. And the major takeaways will be how to plan the lesson, major components of the lesson plan template will be shared with you all so that you can work on those particular guidelines. Then implementation of lesson plan of grade 9 to +2. And of course, competency-based worksheet 1 will be shared on the screen so that you can get a glimpses of what is required, how to prepare the competency-based sheets. So moving on, how to plan. This is my question to all the educators, that you all do the lesson planning, right? And what are the parameters you keep into your mind while planning the lesson? Chat box is enabled, so everybody can give their inputs. How do you do the planning? What are the factors that you keep in your mind while doing this lesson planning?
Our participants are answering that they're take care of the learning outcomes, the objectives, the diverse needs of the classroom.
Learning outcomes
and
yes.
Objectives, basically. Skills, the teaching
Yes.
strategy.
Activities and the teaching aids. Yes. So
the life skills.
Life skills, very good. Hand-on activities, resources,
yes.
Objectives, very great. So actually, when we plan the lesson, the objectives and the clear goals should be there in our mind. There is always, something new for you to teach your students. We have been teaching every year, and every year you repeat the chapter, but you come up with some new strategies every time, right? So always, anticipate the challenges you face. Then make it relevant. Your plan should be very relevant. How to introduce the lesson is a big task. You simply cannot jump into the class to start with the lesson, right? So you have to plan certain warm-up activity to begin with the session to introduce the students with the chapter. And then we all agree that teaching is not that easy nowadays, but it can be done with careful considerations, right? So teacher need to plan the lessons in advance. Prepare the lesson plan that is both challenging for the students and achievable. So it's also important to be very flexible. So if things don't go as planned, teachers have options for how to proceed. Fine. So the most important thing I need to mention that proper lesson planning reduces your behavioral problems during the teaching time among students. If your planning is so good, obviously you will not face much of the behavioral issues. So what are your resources is the very important factor. Like your books, your videos, your internet facilities, and everything is readily available or not. You're mentioning in your lesson plan, but those things are not available with you. So everything is to be taken into consideration. Then students' ability. What are the levels of your students? Are there any skills that would help these learners succeed more quickly? So these are the points which you will be keeping in mind while planning the lesson. Yes, this is UCA World. Now I would like my educators to pour in their inputs that what it is, UCA World. We have come across this word UCA World. If not, then I'll definitely let you know. Visual learner. All right. Anybody else? No. Okay. So UCA World is just an acronym used for V, that is volatility, U is uncertainty, C is complexity, and A is ambiguity. So my question to you all is that how do we prepare our students to flourish in UCA future? UCA world, unpredictable world, which they are going to face now. How we are preparing our students according to this? Any answers?
Not yet, ma'am. We are
Volatile,
waiting for the
uncertain,
answers.
complex, and ambiguous.
Yeah, they're
correct?
coming with the they're coming with the acronym full form. The question that
repeating-
ma'am is asking.
Yes, I'm asking that how are we preparing our students to face this UCA world? What are we doing in our education system that we are preparing our students for the UCA world? Making them aware,
Life skills,
right?
hands-on activities.
Perfect answer. Yes, that is the correct answer. That we have to prepare them for the 21st century skills. Correct. So moving ahead. '21st century skills. This is popularly known as 4 C's as well. So these skills, particularly the critical thinking, communication, collaboration, creativity, they are going to help our students to build the characters. And we are definitely incorporating all these things, all these skills in our lesson plan, right? So what are we doing is actually we are now preparing our students to face this challenging world, this world of uncertainty, unconditional world, right? So we will be helping our students to build up character, cultivate compassion and empathy. The skill ensures that children grow up, they can collaborate, they can function well with others and thereby create a better future. So you will notice that while doing this lesson planning, all these fours are we are working on these 4 C's constantly in our lesson plans. So that means we are already preparing, we have started preparing our students for the 21st century skills. This everybody knows it. It's just a recapitulation that this taxonomy, Bloom's taxonomy, this is a framework that starts with these 2 levels of thinking. That is very important, the base level. And we need to push our students from remember and understanding level to further high order thinking levels, that is to apply, analyze, evaluate, and create. So lesson planning should be designed in such a manner that students achieve high order thinking levels as well. So this is a very important factor which we need to keep in our mind. This is the state of an educator like me, like you, like everybody, right? So while planning, these questions crop up generally in our mind, that what I am teaching and how will I teach? Do my students understand when I teach? Do my really students, the students sitting of all categories of all, some are slow learners, some are average learners. So is my plan ready for to cater all the needs of the students? Who am I teaching to? Like, we should know each and every details of a student when we are going to start with this. So these are the elements which I'm just giving you, just recapitulating you, so that we can start with the lesson planning, keeping in view all those factors, right? Then coming up on the screen, this is obviously 5 key goals of National Curriculum Framework, which we all know it. Just to brush up, like development of academic, emotional, physical, and emotional needs. Help students develop intellectual questions by providing them opportunities, and we need to give them the opportunities at every step. To create a curriculum that promotes quality teaching learning process. To foster creative thinking skills by facilitating different activities. And we generally do so many activities in the class, or we plan in our lesson plans, so that we have to touch each and every student, and the output should be, the learning outcome should be there. So, and also to provide students with liberty to express individual thoughts. So these are the 5 key goals of National Curriculum Framework, and we also have to keep all these factors in mind. So my next question to all the educators, are your lesson plans smart? Do you think your lesson plans are smart? Yes, 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 yes. Not really. Yes, great. So there are so many, all educators, they agree that some are doing smart lesson planning and some are really working on it, right? So there are many ways in which, in class instructional time can seem overwhelming, especially to the teachers, right? So during my first year of experience in teaching, I was totally baffled in the class, and the time and space I had seemed expansive. It's full of possibilities and opportunities, but also shapeless and unstructured. So in that moment, I found myself wondering how I am going to supposed to fill every moment of face-to-face instructional time with meaningful, interesting, valuable content, and how am I supposed to know that after the fact that I have succeeded in this goal? How will I come to know that? So in this webinar, we are going a long way towards answering these questions for yourself by carefully crafting smart learning objectives. So these are the points which we need to keep in mind for the smart this learning objective. So this is your lesson plan, should be very specific. It should be goal oriented. Goals should be direct, detailed, and meaningful. Actually, this is SMART is an acronym often associated with the productive goal setting in general. So it is specific, M for measurable, A for attainable, then R for relevant, and then T is your time based. So these are the measurable, these are all overall modern teaching methods. It should be so flexible enough to give best vehicle of education for all the learning profiles. Then successful lesson planning. How will you check that your lesson plan is going to be successful or is successful? Again, the acronym S is story-based approach. There should be a story-based approach, right? So story-based approach is a wonderful medium, for teaching in the class, because they students connect with storytelling style of teaching. Then there is a unique child approach. In this unique child approach, you will see that you have to touch each and every child is unique. It is not that everybody is same, right? So some are slow learners, some are above average students, and some are average students. So you have to apply a unique child approach as well when you are planning it. And if you have planned, then your lesson plan is successful. And other various approaches, there's constructivist and contextual approaches, then eclectic approach, language building approach. Then simplistic approach means like you are presenting the thing in a simple manner, though it is complicated. And then of course you have to take the scientific approach into consideration. And if you have touched all these parameters, or maybe 90% of the things you have touched in the lesson plan, that means it's going to be the successful lesson plan. Then the components. The components of lesson plan, everybody knows very well. So the learning objectives, then, the bridging. Bridging is nothing but it's a warm-up activity. So when you have designed the learning objectives in the lesson plan, right, it should be clear, it should be goal-oriented. And then next step is that bridging. So bridging means that warm-up activity should be introduced in your lesson plan so that you begin your lesson plan and you build up a connectivity. You are emotionally connected to the students and you are bringing them from general to specific to announce the chapter, to introduce the chapter in a very effective manner. Then the teaching content, of course, whatever things you are teaching it, and then using various other methodologies and all. Then learning activities. So learning activities can be within the chapter. It can be the post-learning activities as well, as per the demand, as per the design of your lesson plan. And then, of course, you have to assess them by giving them certain assignments. Keep giving them assignments so that you can take the reflections that they have learned. And then the last stage, that is evaluation. So these are the components which we will be keeping in our mind while planning the lesson. Then key elements of lesson plan. Everybody knows very well, and we all are doing it. Just brushing up again by saying that there should be objectives, then it should be time bound. Then the sequence, sequencing must be there. That means the content, the method, and the media. We have to design the activities for differential learning. That means catering into the needs of all type of students sitting in the class, all type of levels. Then assessment and evaluation, and then the materials, whatever you have designed. So this is the key element. So, format of lesson plan. Everybody has knows the format of the lesson plan. Still, I want to share the one template of the lesson plan so that everybody can see this. And I would request my technical team to kindly do the needful.
Just a minute, ma'am. I'll do it. Just a minute.
Yes. So now it's time for everyone to be ready with the making of implementation of the lesson plan. But whatever I am showing is you have to go and with another lesson so that you are simultaneously building up the planning for yourself for your.
Ma'am, is it visible?
Yes, ma'am, it's visible.
Okay.
So the lesson plan template as suggested, it is like teaching aids used, of course, then number of periods will be required for this lesson plan of a chapter. Learning outcomes, they're very important because without learning outcomes, we will not be able to analyze. Then it should be based on these particular parameters. That is, they remember, they understand, then they have to apply, analyze, evaluate, and create Bloom's taxonomy. And everybody has to, design the plan in such a manner that we need to touch all above factors, high order thinking, they should be touched. Then skill sets, all the skills, particularly those which I have talked about, that is critical thinking, creativity, collaboration, entrepreneurships, all those points should be touched up. Yes. Then SDG goals, that kindly you have to pick up the sustainable development goals. Wherever you feel that you need to, you can touch this, you can. Then type of learners you have to keep in your mind, that is what sort of students sitting in your class, kinesthetic, because you have to do the collaboration according to all these type of learners. Then day-wise planning. Obviously, we build up the previous knowledge, will take up this activity by the students, then warm-up activities, some questions, and so on. Next day, we can put up certain video links, right? So hybrid teaching, we can incorporate brainstorming method, then certain activity, very short answer type questions and so on. And on the last, role play or puzzle or activity or case-based study. So if it is a 4-day or 5-day plan, we can divide our things in a very judicious manner, like competency quizzes, then awareness activity, problem-based learning, right? So video activity again, case study, because case study, we will be moving on either 1 or 2, according to the subject, according to the chapter, according to the demand. Then assignments, we have to prepare the assignments for all the learners, high order thinking skills one, challenging ones, student with special needs, then case study based, MCQ, aptitude, and also on. Assessment, class test, and case study based comprehension passages. How will you assess that learning outcomes are being achieved? Obviously, when we conduct the lesson, when we conduct the test, yes, you can get the sample of this template at in the end of the session. I will request my technical team to share with you all. Then research projects, if it is there in any, and then the subject enrichment activities that can be hand-on activity or art integration or Indian context or self-exploration and so on. And of course, we cannot leave the last parameter, that is remedial action. That suppose if some of the students are not able to cope up with the teaching and their understanding, then what is the next step? That is the remedial action, which we generally fail to take, right? So this is how we are going to work on our lesson plan. I hope everybody has taken the screenshot for a while so that you are planning lesson simultaneously. Thank you so much, ma'am.
May I stop sharing the screen, ma'am?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Fine. Thank you so much. So I'm coming to my screen.
Ma'am, just a minute. I would like to interrupt you here. The
Yes.
participants are asking, will they be getting this? So Salam sir, can we send this along with when we send them their email, video link?
Yeah,
and
we will
attach-
email them. We will email to all the registered participants.
Participants, please note this. You will get this template in your email. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you, sir. So we have discussed the format of lesson plan that has also been shared. Ma'am, my screen is visible to all.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am, it is.
Thank you. Thank you. Now it's time to plan the lesson, and the lesson is already actually planned, and now it's time to implement the lesson. I will be taking the feedback of everyone after the end of the session to know that what are my shortcomings, right? So lesson plan of chapter The Last Leaf I had designed for grade 9th English language and literature. All the educators must be taking these classes and they know very well about this chapter. It is going to be a great help for all of you. So to begin with, we should be ready with the specific objectives. So the specific objectives is to promote reading habits through story reading and to understand the importance of crafted conclusions, right? Now educators can also add up their own ideas, their own knowledge over here to tell me that what other objectives could be there in this chapter. I've just picked up a few. I'm waiting for the answers.
Participants, please put your suggestions on the chat box so that Sukanya ma'am can read them and I'll share them. Please put it on the chat box, whatever could be the specific objectives based on life skill. Humanity.
Perfect. To promote values like humanity. Excellent. Understand the values, to infer the theme, to central idea. Carefulness. Perfect. Perfectly fine. That's great. So this is the specific objective for the chapter. Let us come to the warm-up activity, right? Now, warm-up activity means that we have to ask certain questions to the students to engage them in learning. And you can ask them that what is the favorite storybook for you? Or have you read any other book, any other story related to The Last Leaf by Oscar Wilde? What is this painting, Mona Lisa here? How will you refer to? What do you mean by the masterpiece? And in this way, you will be engaging the students with certain prompt up questions, right? So you will ask them that, have you ever seen a movie wherein you have seen the true friendship, or whether you have seen that people have made the sacrifices for each other? In this way, their answers, they start preparing the answers, start giving the answers, and in this way we will do this. So we have to engage the students, we have to highlight the things, and then in this warm-up activity, we will be talking about these questions. And then we will introduce the chapter. Introduction of the chapter and the explanation will be there. This is narrative writing and its key elements. Give a brief account of the author. So narrative writing and its key element is there on the screen, and you need to tell the students in the very beginning of the chapter that this is a piece of narrative. Before that, you need to give students a narrative structure of writing by telling them that this is how the graph moves, and this is how we have to find out the conflict at the peak, and then this is to be resolved. So in the very beginning, when we talk about the setting of the chapter, setting of the in the plot, then this is just introduction and certain characters that has been introduced. In the next slide, I'll be telling you that how narrative style works here in this chapter. Lastly, it is there in chapter Bholi for grade 10th as well. So you can pick up any of the story of this plan, can be incorporated any of the story which is a narrative style. Fine. So in this way, you can tell the students about the structure, that this is the introduction, and then there is a tension or a conflict that builds up, and then it reaches to a peak where the tension is built up. For example, like Johnsy and Sue, and she was having pneumonia, and she was just waiting for the last leaf to fall. And then falling action through applying certain solutions, wherein Bharam steps in and take the lead, and then any conflict is now resolved. And this is the narrative style of teaching. All right, so let us move ahead. Yes, so I've just taken the glimpses of the content from the chapter just to tell you that there is a plot and the setting. So this is the last leaf, and you can see that there is Sue and Johnsy in the very beginning, and you tell your students to note down that introduction of characters has started from the very beginning. Then I have highlighted another character, the doctor. Then it is autumn. The wind is blowing. So this is the setting. That season, it is giving you the glimpses of a season. All the leaves of an ivy creeper, they have fallen because of autumn season, right? So why doesn't the last leaf fall? And this is, giving you a question for the students to read the chapter and then come across the new words and the vocabulary simultaneously, like pneumonia. You need to give students the meaning, pronunciation, and spelling simultaneously. We have to build up their vocabularies as well. So pneumonia is an infection that inflames the air sac in one or both lungs. So in this way, you have introduced the character, and now you will be taking the chapter to the next level. Now there is always, you have to be ready with a pop-up question to stimulate the students. Pop-up question is, what does this counting signifies? You might have seen that when this chapter progresses, she was looking out of the window and was saying 12. After some time, she whispered 11, then 10, then 9, then 8, and then 7. Immediately you stop reading here and you just ask the question, that is a pop-up question to stimulate them, that what does this counting signifies? Why she's doing the back counting? So that students will give you the answers, and in this way you will be taking this chapter to the next level, right? Then of course, in the middle, you can design the activity. For example, here I have taken a collaborative cloud activity, and I have highlighted this portion that when the last leaf falls, I will die. She said this finally. said Johnsy with finality. So here I have designed a group discussion on this topic, depression among teenagers. It's a very hot topic and it is connected to all the teenagers in the classrooms, right? So you just make a small group, or you can group them in 2 or 3, but you have to discuss this point and they will come up with the answers. So this is one again of activity which is going to enhance their learning skills, wherein she said, this is my final verdict, said Johnsy with finality, that when the last leaf falls, I will die. So in this way, in other chapters of the literature, you can pick up showing certain introduction of the characters, building up the plots, then conflict of the situation. On the board, you can draw this graph so that students keep connecting that we have reached to the conflict of the situation whenever you are reading the chapter in the narrative style. So now introduce Barum. Try to sleep, says you. I have to paint an old miner. I will call Barum up to my model. So here she has disclosed that old Barum is old and is a miner by profession. So this is a role of a friend over here that she rushed down, and she wanted this Barum to be there. She has no intention of calling him up to just be a model. She wanted to sort out the solution, and she knew very well that he, being a mature person, will be able to help her out. So she rushed down to call Barum to take the. Now moving to the next, there is going to be a twist in the story. So you people can correlate all this with other chapters as well. For example, I gave you the example of chapter Bholi, which you will be designing in mid of session, wherein the same situation goes over there, that there was a conflict when her marriage was going to take place, right? So this is the conflict, and then you reach to the resolution wherein she declined to marry, and she took her own decisions and she took her own stand. So similarly, in this chapter resolution, there is a twist in the story which Oscar Wilde is known for this. So next morning, Sue came and sat on Johnson's bed, taking Johnson's hand in hers, and she said, I have something to tell you. Mr. Barum died of pneumonia. She declared this, and he was ill for only 2 days. So here it is disclosed to the readers. Am I audible, ma'am?
Yes, ma'am, you are. Yes, ma'am, you are.
Thank you. So he is, Oscar Wilde is just disclosing to the readers that there was a reason of his death. And that is only
ma'am, just a minute,
yes,
ma'am. This story is by O. Henry. So this Oscar Wilde is.
Sorry, it's O. Henry. Yes.
Yes, ma'am, it's O. Henry. Last week is the O. Henry. Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
O. Henry. So how the last leaf is a masterpiece. This is a critical thinking skill which you are developing among students. That how the last leaf is a masterpiece. Barum didn't say a word. He went back to his room. Right here, he did so. By doing this, he saved Sue's life, and that was his masterpiece. You need to tell the students that only just making a replica of an ivy creeper is not going to solve the purpose. It's not that masterpiece. Actually, what he wants to say is that he could save the life of one of a girl. So he was not successful as an artist, but he succeeded in saving a dear old friend, and that was his master stroke. You need to tell your students, and in this way, you will be, developing the empathy, the critical thinking skill, problem solving skills among students. So when you are reading this chapter, when you're doing it, there are various reading strategies which you can use to teach the chapter. And this is what I have picked up, that we are doing this, deep reading. So, of course, to support the learning, we have to design the activity the way I told you in the previous slides. So activity here I have designed is prepare a thank you card to present to your friend for being there in a time of need. So we have incorporated the art integration as well in our lesson plan. I would like my educators to give their inputs as what would they have designed, or if this chapter is done. I think this chapter is still not done in any of the school in this session. What would they do in this activity other than just making of a card? According to me, I have designed this. You can give your own inputs.
Dear participants, any suggestions? What could we do in order to prepare, support the learners, support learning? Art integration is one method. Do you have any other suggestion? We would love to hear them. Role play, a flipped classroom. Those are the suggestions coming in, ma'am.
Mind mapping, we are
Skit,
coming
yeah,
with
that's
that.
like
We
a
have designed another, right? Perfectly fine.
storytelling.
So we need storytelling. Good job. So activity is to support the learning. Then moving ahead. Yes, in the initial stages, we need to give them certain guided practices as well. This is for a below average student I have designed. That is for differential learning. Provide students with a graphic organizer to help them organize their thoughts while planning their conclusion. Maybe they will find difficult to do that. So you need you need to give little bit of support, and you have to guide them to reach to the conclusion. There are various other ways of, coming up, dealing with the differential learning students in the classes. Various activities can be designed. Yes, on the next slide. This is for the average student, and these are the skills which are taken into consideration. That is analytical skill, critical thinking skills. And the question which I have framed is that write at least 2 qualities of each of the characters in the story. You may choose words from the words given in the box below, and or write the words of your own. So both options are open. Give reasons to support your choices. So here you can see that this is just a graphical presentation wherein characters John C, Sue, and Baron. We are going to write the character sketch of pen portrait of these particular characters, taking the help of certain inputs in the boxes. It can be protective, arrogant. So many adjectives and the words written over here, and we can use our own as well from the text to frame the pen portrait, to draw the pen portrait. So protective, arrogant, sensitive, loving, and so on. So in this way, you can give little bit of support, little bit we can say, and you can assess them by giving or making certain kind of assignments. So for the above average, this is what I talked, that we cannot design one single activity for whole of a class, because this is we need to take care of. So for the above average student, I have designed an activity wherein I have asked them, imagine yourself as a leaf of an ivy creeper. What would you like to tell you before falling down? So this is the ivy creeper. You have to be personified as an ivy keeper. Write a diary entry to express your emotions. Right? So these above average students can be given this task, and they will come up with a beautiful writing skill, and our learning outcome will be that they will be able to write diary entry independently. Right? So here again, I would ask my educators that they can also give their inputs of how would they design an activity for an above average student for this. Venn diagram. Yes, very good. Venn diagram, so that we can introduce a new thing, that is Venn diagram. Beautiful. This I have jotted down for myself as well.
They had suggested a character web also, ma'am.
Character web, that is great. So what is the purpose of creating a Venn diagram? What is the purpose? Anybody? because there is certain zone of intersections, that is wherein its common traits can also be reflected. So that can be put in that particular web. That's great, beautiful.
Critical analysis of characters, find the commonalities. Comic strip, that's a very interesting
Comic
idea, I
strip.
felt.
Yes, comic strip. Then in this way, they will be able to design, they will be able to structure their various dialogues and can move on to the to some story. Great, excellent. And then once you have assessed them, you have checked their progressions. Now you have to come to this independent practice, that is scaffolding questions. So in the class, you can frame a quiz. Like if in case there are 3 rows in your classrooms, let it be team A, B, C without disturbing anybody, and randomly they are sitting, it's fine with us. So you will be giving them some challenging questions as well, folding questions from the text. And when you read this chapter, you will find so many questions comprehension based to check the comprehension of the student. So many questions that crop up in our NCERT books, and so you can take all those questions into consideration and you can go for this assessing. Fine. So this is this scaffolding questions for the independent questions. Great. Now let us move ahead. Collaboration. So next step is reflection. I hope all are doing this planning simultaneously, because they have to share at the end of the session. Any chapter that comes into your mind, you keep all these points and then plan. So collaboration is put up here because I've designed another activity, group activity. You ask your students to create a visual representation. That can be drawing, or that can be a poster, infographics. Put them in a group wherein you have to check that you can put one creative student into the group and make a very small group so that they can come up with this activity for the lesson plan to display in the class. And if they are good enough in doing so, you can ask them for the reciprocal teaching as well. That yes, take the help of this graphics, take the help of your infographics and present this chapter, or give the synopsis of the chapter. This is going to work wonder. This has gone back. I think there are certain glitches.
Ma'am, we were on slide number 31.
31.
Yes, ma'am.
Right. So we have reached the last stage
No,
where
ma'am, we have gone back again. We have gone back again, ma'am.
I've gone back again.
Yes, ma'am. We had just crossed the scaffold questions part. That's where we were. Yes, we were here, ma'am.
Okay, we were here. So in this way, we can check their, learning by asking them to go for the reciprocal teaching. Fine. There are certain other suggested activities, because so many activities cannot be taken for one chapter. I agree. But this is just, I have designed for you all just to share with you all that these also can be designed. So one suggested activity is astounding writer, wherein define the narrative writing skills, tell their key elements, plot, setting, character, conflict resolutions, then divide students into pairs or small groups to plan and draft their own narrative stories using a graphic organizer. This is a beautiful activity wherein a new story they can build up with the graphic organizer. So this is astounding writer. You people can note down. Thank you. Then learning outcomes. We have to check whether we are able to get the learning outcomes. So get an idea about narrative style. Students will get an idea. What is narrative style of the short story? And how will you judge this? Because they have done it so with one of the activity which you have designed. Also, they have developed the critical thinking and creativity. Creativity, because they have come up with posters or infographics, right? So this is what the creativity is. They were able to write the diary entry. So they were able to imagine the new ideas from their experience, and they have created a short story of their own. So this is the learning outcome, which should be mentioned in your lesson plan. Yes, from a diary of Anne Frank by of grade 8, grade 10th. This is for the next grade level, that is 10th. I have picked up this chapter. Simultaneously, you can also pick up any historical chapter along with this. For example, Indigo from grade 12th, right? And any of such chapters which clicks you, like the address, because we will be talking about Holocaust here. So these chapters can be picked up for your lesson plans. Specific objectives, as we already know that we have to write the objectives. So the objectives over here is identify specific textual references that reflect Anne Frank's experience in the annex. Learn how to make a diary entry. Of course, this is a diary entry only, and students will learn how to make a diary entry. We can give an activity based on this. But in the previous chapter in grade 9, lastly, I have also designed one activity based on diary entry. So anywhere you can incorporate this. Summarize the diary of a young girl by Anne Frank, and students will be able to summarize this. This is our objective of the lesson. Of course, the next step is warm-up activity. We have to connect them to the real life connections. So for doing so, you can come up with this kind of questions to the students, that how did people cope up with the war situation in Ukraine-Russia war? Because this happened in their tenure, both the things, that is coronavirus situations they have experienced, and they have through news and through other various inputs, they have seen that Ukraine-Russia war has broke up, and many people have lost their lives and they have become homeless and all. So you will be giving them open-end question, that how did people cope up with this war-like situations? And believe me, students will come up with very good answers, and you will be able to get connected to the students. And coming to the chapter, to introduce the chapter, we have to show, like this is a just video link for your reference only, that's show students a video clip. Pick up from the YouTube and just see a short video clip. Share the link in the Snap homework, or somewhere, in their WhatsApp group, or whatever way you post the homeworks to the students, and without telling them anything about the film in advance. Simply don't tell them anything. Simply give them a homework that watch this video and come with your inputs. After viewing, ask students to describe what they saw in the clip. And before this, you have to give them a worksheet, which is KWL chart. So before the beginning of this chapter, one day prior, you distribute this KWL chart and then ask them to watch the movie and come up with this column, that what they already know it and what they want to know. So the third column will be filled in later when they'll come to know about the chapter. So again, I'm just moving on to the previous slide to show you that after viewing, ask students to describe what they saw in the clip, and where they are going to jot down these points, obviously in KWL worksheet. This you can design and get the printouts one day prior. Fine, I think this is absolutely clear to all. KWL, and you can type it on the net and search for this. This is know what you know. What I know is K, and what I want to know, W, want, and L is what I have learned. Again, this is going to be a learning support, this activity, visit to a Holocaust museum. This is going to be counted as experiential learning. And once you begin with the chapter, in the midway of the chapter, you have to just go for this particular activity. This is a link which you will be sharing to the students, or you can take this activity in the class if you have smart boards. And then you have to ask the students to note down what they have seen. This is again an activity. This is only not the visual one. You have to write down also, right? So visit to a Holocaust museum. So I would request my technical team again that I stop sharing, and they can share this just to give the glimpses to all the educators that how we are going to conduct this. Thank you. So we are going
Just
to
a minute.
share. Yes, ma'am.
Just a minute,
Yes, yes.
ma'am. Here it is. Just a minute. Yes. Can you see it?
Yes, ma'am.
So do I click on
You have
play?
to, yes, ma'am, play.
Yeah.
Or just scroll down also, then also it's okay.
Okay, I'll
I
go
think
to
the
home
thing-
and I'll scroll down.
Go back to the same, ma'am.
I'll go to home and I'll scroll down. Is it?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, here it is.
Keep scrolling down and then three-dimensional architects of museum. No, ma'am, actually you have to go back to the same previous link.
Just a minute. Then. Just a minute. Give me 1 minute.
Sure, ma'am, sure. So it's a very beautiful activity and you will be visiting the 3D museum wherein, you know, at every step you will find that these are the things, and in the last they are taken on the trains and bogies to the chamber where they are killed. So this is a beautiful activity, and you will be able to tell the students that what actually happened in the Holocaust and how Jews were.
Here it is.
There
Here
was
it is,
yes,
ma'am.
ma'am. Scroll down, please.
Here, write it.
Ma'am, scroll down this. Yes,
This is it,
yes.
correct?
Yes, Hall of Witness, yes. Now you can scroll up and down to show whole of a museum, drag it and show. Yes, ma'am. It's so beautiful that, you know, all the students will be taken to a virtual visit to a museum. This is the Hall of Witness. This is this, you are standing in the center of the museum in the Hall of Witness. Ma'am, move in again. Yes. This is a glass bridge. Next. Next, ma'am. This is the arcs and the red bricks and distorted perspective. Kindly move to the next, ma'am. Yes. So this is the Jews of Exeksky and the Holocaust. In 1933, they were living in the country of Europe. And this way, these are the pictures. This is the 3D museum where you can scroll and see everything. And you will be telling the students that when I am displaying this and showing you in the class, you need to jot down that what you have observed. Next, ma'am. Yeah. It is actually a great source of learning. Similarly, for Indigo, you can search for educators. You can go for searching for this museum again for the chapter Indigo. Reconstructing the past. These are the victims. Next, ma'am. Next. So they have picked up one single pic to show. Next, ma'am. Next, till when you reach to the scene, the night of broken glass, where they were killed. This is a complete gallery when you can see up and down. You can drag up and down also to show this. Then this is the night of a broken glass. Next, ma'am. Next. Again, next. Yes, these are the ghettos, the concentration and the isolation, where they were taken to the concentration camp. In this, from a diary of Anne Frank, you will come to know that she was hiding actually. Why she was hiding? Because she doesn't want to be a victim and doesn't want to go catch hold, because those, Jews were killed like this, taken to the concentration camp. So this is how you can tell your students regarding this. Next. This is how they were treated, and they were taken to the trains to be taken to the, yes, this is the scene. This is the segregation and confinement. This is the deportation to the killing centers where they were taken and deported for the killing center. Next. The rail car which used to take them. Next, ma'am. Great. So, and the last you will see that this is how they were killed. This was a selection process. These are the barracks. These are the conditions of the camp. So Nazi Germany, they used to take them Jews to this barracks conditions in the camp. It was absolutely unfilthy condition, unhygienic. This was a segregation, and this is the scene where they were kept in barracks. This is humanization. This is the registration process which goes on. They take ladies separate and gents separate. There was a great hunger in the camps. Obviously, it was in a huge mass. So in final solution, killing centers and the gas chambers. Absolutely, marvelous. So by showing, taking them to the virtual tour, it is amazing to tell them that how they were treated and they are connected to the real life situations. This is the undressing room. They were just in panic. This is the gas chamber. Once you are locked inside, 2,000 people could be killed within minutes in this gas chamber. Just imagine. Extermination through work. The prisoners in the camp, they were also worked to death. So everybody used to face death. So this was a reason we can click that Anne Frank was hiding just because she doesn't want to be a victim. This is the Hall of Remembrance at the last. So thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you. It's a great activity. All educators can take it. For other chapters also, you can take this activity. This for Indigo. My screen is visible. Screen
Yes,
visible.
ma'am, it is, ma'am. And participants have shared the link of this wonderful this resource for all of you. I've shared it on the chat box because it's really good. So
Thank you so much,
Sukanya,
ma'am.
Done that. I've shared the link of this
Great, ma'am. Thank you
resource
so much.
material.
So all of you can, copy down this link and you can use it in the chat in your classrooms whenever you come to this chapter. Most probably we are going to pick up very soon, or in some schools we have already done it. Because if I
Ma'am,
talk
it's
about
also transdisciplinary with history, grade 9.
yes. So they
So
can
they already know about
come
it.
up as a multidisciplinary activity and task as well as a project as well. They can take it. So this is done in our school. We have done this. So those who have not done it, it's going to work wonders for them. Again, I don't understand why it comes to that.
We have to go to grade I think link. Yeah, we were here and we were at the back, a little bit back. We need to go, ma'am.
Yes, almost nearby.
I think it's link now. I think slide number 40, if I'm not wrong. I'm not sure.
Yes, you're right, ma'am. It's slide number 40. There are certain glitches on my laptop. I suppose whenever I click, I move to some other. So Holocaust
Happens, ma'am,
Museum,
it happens.
everybody has visited. I hope all educators like this activity and it's going to work wonder for students. It's a great experiential learning. So now coming to the multiple assessments and cooperating with the art integration. This is an activity which is being designed. Students will discuss in panel. So first of all, arrange them in panel. It's a panel discussion about their observations because you have to take the feedback, what you have shown them, right? So you just ask them that discuss about their observations and understandings from virtual tour. Or you can ask them to frame a diary entry and they can write it that we visited the diary entry and this was. So they will pour in the emotions and they will enhance their writing skill as well. And this is the activity which is a wonderful one, and everybody liked it in my class when I did this. This is the major part which we have to take care of. This is the vocabulary enhancement, and this what I have designed is that this is we have to join match the columns, right? So these are not the exact meaning. So in this way you can build up their curiosity, they can understanding level will be increased and enhanced. So quacking in one's boot, this is the word which came, this is the phrase that comes in the chapter, and you need to tell them the meaning because there can be a question on the basis of this, that why everybody in the class were quacking in one's boots, why? So convincing argument, ramble on, these are the words which I have taken from the text only, the footnotes, from the footnotes. And you can also use your smart boards and you can come up with this kind of, just 1 minute it will take, but it is a good one. Then again, the next one, which I have picked up is from the chapter itself. It is there in the back exercise, and they will come to know about the journals, the diary and diaries, log and memoir. What is the difference between all four? We generally talk about journals, diary entry, they know very well. Log, memoir. So these are the new words for the students, and we will be able to tell them by, again, it has to be matched column A and column B. So this activity, please do it in your classes. It is there in our textbook, but we generally skip. We generally skip. So this is not to be skipped. It's going to enhance their vocab. This is the graphic organizer, a mind mapping for the diary of Anne Frank. So in this way, you can also come up with this graphic organizers. You can prepare your own digital resources to be used by the students. Here in our school, we done generally, create all these kind of digital resources for the students to share whenever they want to go for certain kind of revisions or anything. So this is a graphic organizer, and for the slow learners, they will be able to catch up with the chapter because it is a bit difficult. So independent practice time. So you have to come up with competency based worksheet as a home assignment, send them. It can be assertion and reasoning. I framed it, but I couldn't, share everything over here in the specific time period. But yes, of course, you can come up with various competency-based activities. Then we have to assess students. And in the previous chapter, I just took the assessment. Otherwise, here I have used certain tools for the assessment. You people can also use any one of. What you have to do is like you can use Mentimeter, Soft Creative Tool, Moodle, Flip, and anyone. Kahoot app is wonderful. Frame certain MCQ based assignments. Share the link in the Snap homework or somewhere wherever you post the homework, and tell the students to do it, and you will see the responses there and then only. So this is a kind of a gamification you can add up in your lesson plan, so that it becomes interesting and informative. Learning outcomes. Students will be able to identify the specific textual references that reflect Anne Frank's experience in the annex. She was hiding in the annex. So students will be able to, identify that really she was in great trouble. Then students will be able to develop the critical thinking and creativity. As my slides, I have already written and in a pop-up form that yes, this is developed and these skills are taken into consideration. In our lesson plans also we do like this. So summarize the diary of a young girl. This is actually the original diary where one chapter is been taken in the curriculum. So learn how to make the diary entry again. So this is the learning out. You can write other outputs as learning outputs. Coming up to, so what I have done is I have picked up one chapter from all the grades for 9 to +2. And I will be telling you where and when you can use any of these particular things in your lesson plans. Grade 11th, beautiful chapter. And then you have to build up the curiosity of the students as well. So obviously, when you have to introduce this chapter, you have to start up with some, this is the learning objective, of course. Inculcate the values like respect, being responsible, work from excellence, time management, commitment, determination, and never to lose hope, and use of practical knowledge. So these are going to be the goals designed, clear goals designed, specific goals designed by the teacher. Now again, warm-up activity. We have to connect them to the real life connections. So here is a group discussion. Sitting the way they are in the classroom, you can ask the students several questions regarding the fascinating things that God created on this earth. They'll come up with various answers. Discuss how the birth of a human itself is an ultimate creation, because we have to bring them to the title of the chapter, the introduction of the chapter. So you just discuss that birth of a human itself is an ultimate creation. And then move on to the chapter. This is the pre-reading task, that is a lead activity. Teacher will initiate the discussion involving maximum number of students about fascinating things of life on earth that God created, and topic will be announced that we are going to start with the chapter 1. So this announcement of the topic is also done, and you have connected them with the real life situation that we is there any small little baby you have seen in your surroundings and something like that, so you can start with this. Now moving to the next, we have to start with this chapter. Then reading strategy of a chapter, in-depth reading, right? So in-depth reading, I'm not taken the pics like screenshots of the chapter of every chapter, but the way we begin in the last lesson, we can do it here as well. And we can start with, when this chapter opens up, he is upset, right? So you have to go take the students to the flashback and tell that what was the problem that he was coping up with. So in this way, you can connect the things and you can do this in-depth reading of the chapter. And also, when this chapter gets over, we can show a small video showing asphyxia, so to connect with the real life situations. So again, I would request my technical team to show the video wherein child is born, a stillborn baby is there, and how doctors are trying to resuscitate the child because that child is suffering from asphyxia. The same thing happened in the chapter.
Ma'am,
It's
do
a
you want me to
beautiful-
share the sound?
Yes, ma'am. Just one glimpses, last parts only, ma'am.
You want me to share the sound as well, ma'am?
Yes, ma'am. Little
Okay,
bit.
just a minute. Yeah,
There's
just a minute. I've
sound
just
in
kept
the-
it ready. Here
Yes,
it is.
ma'am.
बच्चा कैसे हो 24 वीक का बच्चा कैसे होगा
Students will be able to realize the efforts that are done by the doctors, and they never give up. They keep on trying. Beautiful video of 7 minutes, but we are just showing you the small glimpse which you can share in the class to tell them what is asphyxia and how Dr. Andrew was also trying his level best. Pat at the back of a child. Yes, it is exactly the description given in this video. Yes, thank you so much. When we show these kind of videos and we try to connect them to the real life situations, they really love doing this. They all will be engaged, and this is going to be a great learning for all the students. So this is asphyxia that child was, and doctor didn't give up. Dr. Andrew didn't give up. He tried till end to resuscitate the child and also to save the mother. Both the things he could do that. So the presence of mind, your knowledge, everything counts. This is again an activity designed by me. You people can design it in any of the chapters. It's just a story map. You can use it in any of the chapters, wherein each student can be asked to fill in, or you can put them in a group of 5 to do this activity. Once the chapter is done, you ask them to write the main events, characters, settings, and all that. So this is just making them engaged, and this innovative pedagogy, with the result that we will come to this, that whether they have learned it or not, whether they are able to understand the chapter or not. Can we continue, ma'am, for next
Yes,
10,
ma'am.
5? Thank you so much.
Salam, sir, do we have the time? Another 10 minutes?
I think we have only 10 minutes left.
All
Yes,
right,
ma'am. We
right,
need
sir.
to wind up in 10 minutes, ma'am.
Right,
Thank you.
ma'am. I'll go a little fast.
So madam can take 5 minutes.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Then picking up the thread, this is the name of an activity I have designed. Andrew decided to write a diary entry about a miraculous incident. This can be like diary entry everywhere we have picked up. You can write, you can frame a question like, he wanted to write a letter to his mother about the miraculous incident that happened, or he can write it to any other doctor friend that had happened at the Morgan's house. So imagine yourself as Andrew and pen down his feelings. This is a beautiful activity. Pick up the thread. The teacher will introduce a topic for turn the tables. This activity can also be taken up. So the question is, a 2-year internship in a primary health center must be made compulsory to the top medical graduates. This is a question, and you can start with the debate in the class just for 5 minutes. 2 groups will be formed, and once they are done, you can turn the table. Now, those who were in the favor of the motion will talk about against the motion, and they will come up with their varied answers. So in this way, we are enhancing their communication skill as well. Then the learning outcomes. Every time in our lesson plan, we have to write the learning outcomes. Coming to chapter to grade 12th, chapter Indigo. Sorry, this is, I was actually trying this, but this is, then I came up for this chapter Anime. So the specific objectives we will introduce in chapter, the Anime. Most of the educators are going to pick this chapter now. So we have to start with interaction on the services of a doctor. As we have done in chapter Birth, you can show that, one documentary on doctors. It's a beautiful documentary where I have just mentioned here only a documentary on doctors and their relentless services, a short video. You can show it in the class and you just tell them that how doctors are doing their services. Because here also in this chapter, we'll be talking about Dr. Sadao. So in this way, we can, connect them with the life situations. Introduction of the chapter through charts or pictures or photographs related to the soldier of an army or air force or doctors or generals. Show them and ask them to recognize this, and they'll come to know something related to enemy, right? So the announcement of the chapter can be done. Then historical backgrounds of the story is very important to be introduced. We can go for the chapter reading through scanning and scaffolding because chapter is very big. So there's few parts you can just go for the silent reading, few parts you can do the scanning and then scaffolding. So other strategies can be incorporated. After doing so, the chapter is over, we can start with our activity, that is gallery walk. It's a beautiful activity, right? So this is for the below average, this is for above average. For above average, it is a gallery walk wherein, the students will be given various events happened in this chapter, and they will be asked to arrange it or to paste it on the wall to make it a gallery walk. Others can take a round. So it is stepwise, like first what happened, then next what happened, and this how the story progresses. For the below average, there is a graphic organization you can arrange and mind mapping. Assessment is to be done, of course. So for this chapter, I have designed a small assignment. Use the following words and phrases to write the meaningful sentences for questions as well as for answers. So important for Sadao Hoki, what was important is father's statement and priority. So these are the key points wherein students will be able to answer certain questions as well, and they will be able to write the meaningful sentences for the questions. So his wife's background and American professor's heart. So these 3 people were very important. Then the shadow from the sea and all. So in this way, you can frame any competency-based assignment to assess. Again, a competency-based assignment, one more I have shared on the screen. You can ask them to rearrange the following points in sequence of their narration. So in this manner, you will be able to engage the students and the learning output will be there. These are the reflections. You can ask the students to just design a roadmap, the enemy, and put them in a group and ask them to design, and they will come up with a beautiful thing. learning outcomes, of course. Then coming to the remedial action, as I talked about the remedial actions in the beginning of the session, that without this, we will be failing in our duty. So remedial actions, students who will not be able to learn or are not giving good results, or you think that they are not able to understand the chapter or certain of the things. So these are the various remedial actions can be taken by an educator. I have just put in few. There are so many. As time constraints, I can't share everything. So individualized education program as per NCF, then peer tutoring. You can always go for a peer tutoring. They will be able to understand through peer tutoring. Then rework and repair action. That means you have to rework on them. You have to find out their weak areas, and then you have to again plug in those weak areas. And your feedback is very important. You cannot leave them loose. You have to take the feedback on a daily basis, summarize the main points with them, give them the focus points, and one-to-one tutoring can also be taken into consideration. What will be your approach if the lesson does not work well? It happens with us most of the times. So dear educators, I need your inputs right now in the chat box, that what will be your approach when something doesn't work well in this lesson plan. In that case, what you people do? Kindly pour in your views here in the chat box.
Reflect and replan.
Reflect and replan. Rework the lesson plan. Change the teaching
strategies.
strategy. Very good. Rework on it. Good. So I'm going to share with you that what are the what will be my approach if in case lesson doesn't work well. These are the mini plenaries. So these are the solutions now. Of course, you should have a backup plan. Plan B should be ready with you. So give me 5. Give me 5 is a beautiful activity. If students are not able to get something, you are not able to understand, or this something gets failed. So how you are going to work is the mini plenaries. Give me 5. So what we are going to do in this, it's a oldie but a goldie. How? Get children to draw around their hand, right? Ask them to just draw the outline of their hand. So 5 pointed fingers. So ask them that what is the main character, who is the protagonist in the chapter, then index finger, what skill is being used in this chapter. You can ask what happened in the story, what was a conflict, and in this way you can ask any 5 questions for the mini plenaries. Another one is just a minute. It is very easy to an easy fix for the last minute lesson planning. For example, split your class into small groups, give them a keyword from a lesson in an envelope. Then they have to explain the keyword to the group under 1 minute. So in this way, you will be able to engage all of the students in the class when your plan gets failed. Then exit ticket. This is again a beautiful activity, exit ticket. This is very quick and effective one. What you are going to do is on a piece of a paper, simply write entry and exit. So in entry, they will write what they have learned, and in exit, they will tell you that what they are not able to learn, and other student will answer for the exit ticket. So every time they are writing exit ticket, they will cut down and they will be going to the entry ticket. Fine. So in this way, you are recapitulating the chapter.
Madam, excuse me, the Zoom will be cut off now in 1
Yes.
minute.
All right. So this is how we have to take up with the plenaries.
So, sir, will we be rejoining the session, or what do we do?
Please wind up, please wind up.
All right. So in this way, we have to design for a backup plan. And then we are going to have a question round session immediately, very quickly in your chat box.
Do we have time for questions, sir? Do we have time for questions?
Just wind it up.
Salam,
now.
sir. Ma'am, we won't be able to accommodate questions right now. I'm so sorry about it.
But
I'll take this opportunity to wind up. May I, sir?